In this video, we will learn how to parameterize a circular section placed on directly on the datum location, or either it is placed with some offset in the vertical directions. Currently, we are in the user section mode in the CIM project, and we have defined a circular type of section in the user section mode. Currently, the datum location of the user section mode and the center of this circular section aligns with each other so that we don't need to assign any reference line additional constraints to the section. We can just go to the dimension option. We can choose radial option and we can choose the circular section. The preview of the radius shall appear over here. We will click on the apply and we'll close the dimension option. Now let's go to the parameter option and we'll click on edit. We'll choose the type of parameter as length and we'll assign the parameter name as radius with the length of 500 millimeters. Now let's click on green tick at the bottom and we will link the parameter directly with the dimensions. So R1 goes for the radius and we'll click on the green tick to apply the change. Since the dimension line got updated to the orange color, it means the parameterization has completed. Now let's change the radius of the circle and verify how it works. So we'll change the radius to, let's say, 750 millimeters. We'll click on blue plus. So the center of the circle is still there on the datum location, while the radius of the circle got changed from 500 to 750 millimeters. Now let's reduce the radius again to, let's say, 300 millimeters and we'll click on green tick to apply. So that is how we can create and generate the parameterized circular part in the user section mode of CIM. But let's say if we want any offset distance like vertical offset or horizontal offset is there while defining the circular section, then we need to give some extra parameters like reference line and the constraints, and additional dimension line will appear over there. So let's see a quick example of the circular section having a vertical offset with the datum location. So currently we are in the another user section mode where we have defined a circular section with a vertical offset from the datum location. Over here, the vertical offset from the top of the circular section to the datum location is 1000 millimeters. We can measure it using the measure tool. So it is 1000 millimeters in the vertical direction, while the radius of this circle is still 500 millimeters. Now let's see how we can parameterize this particular section. We'll go to the reference line and we'll assign the reference line at the datum location. We'll click on the green tick. Now we need to define dimension lines. So first we'll assign the radial dimension for this particular circular section and we'll click on blue plus button. Now let's define the vertical dimension since the offset is provided in the vertical direction. So we'll select the circular surface as a target 1 and this reference line as a target 2. So the dimension line starting from the datum location to the center of the circle shall appear on the screen. We can relocate it and we'll click on the blue plus to add the dimension. Now we'll close this. We'll go to the constraint option. So over here, we only need a one single constraint, which is fixed type constraint, to fix the location of this reference line at the datum location. Either you can say 0, 0 location, so that only vertical offset is going to change. Now we'll click on apply and we'll click on close. Now let's assign some base parameters. We'll define the parameter name as radius of circle with the variable name of r. The radius is 500 millimeters and the vertical offset, which is from the top of the circular section to the datum location. Let's assign the variable as v, which has the length of 1000 millimeters, which is the 1500 from the center of the circle to the datum location minus 500 millimeters, which is the radius of the circle. So it will turn out as the 1000 millimeters. Now we need to assign a constraint parameter. so that the program can calculate the total offset distance from the datum to the center of the circle. We'll assign the parameter name as total vertical offset. We'll check on this functional option and we'll click on equation and type the equation as R plus V. So it got updated as 1500 millimeters. Now we'll click on the green tick to apply the change. Now let's go to the parameter link option and link the parameters with the dimension lines. So V1 goes with the total vertical offset while the R1 goes with the radius type parameter. Now let's click on green tick. So it got updated. Now let's change the vertical parameters in the base parameter. First, let's assign the radius as 1000 millimeters with a vertical offset of 2500. We'll click on green tick. So it got updated. So the radius is now 1000 millimeters, and from this top surface to the vertical to the datum location, the distance will be 2500. So the total vertical offset will be 3500 millimeters from the center of the circle to the datum location. Now, in a case where you don't know the offset distance from the datum location to the outer top location of the circle, you can directly assign the total vertical offset from the datum location to the center of the circle. First, we will unlink the dimension with the parameters. So we just need to change to none for both of these dimension line. The parameters will be none. We'll click on green tick, and under the parameter edit option, we will delete this line under the constraint parameters, and under the vertical offset, the distance is assigned as 2500. So let's change it to 3500. We'll click on green tick. We'll go to the parameter link option. And for the V1, we will assign the vertical offset, which will be the total vertical offset from now, starting from the datum location to the center of the circle. And the R1 will be the radius. Now let's click on green tick. It got updated. Let's change the parameters value quickly. So let's change it to 600 millimeters, and the vertical offset, we will change it to 1200 millimeters. We'll click on green tick. So it got updated. So that is how we can parameterize a circular section. Either it is located on the datum location, either it is having vertical offset or horizontal offsets.